Adding S and ES to words. As our learners come across longer words that they need to read and spell, we want to be sure to teach them strategies that support that development. One of the ways we can do this is by teaching them the rules for adding suffixes to words. Some of the things we want to teach them about suffixes are the kinds of suffixes. There's vowel suffixes, consonant suffixes, adding S or ES to words, teaching doubling rules, teaching the E drop rule, and adding suffixes to words that end in Y. Today, we're going to zero in on when to add S or ES to words. Final S and ES are two of the most common suffixes in the English language. These suffixes appear on the end of words like cats, plays, foxes, and pushes. In words like cats and boxes, the S and ES make those nouns plural. In words like plays and pushes, that S and ES are being added to verbs to show something is happening in the present tense. But our learners might get a little confused and wonder, why do I need both suffix S and ES? I mean, why doesn't just suffix S do the trick? And that's a great question. Simply put, suffix S doesn't work with some words. These words, for example, need suffix ES. So it's easier to understand them. If you just try to say these two words with only suffix S, you would get fox, pushes. And the sound at the end of these two base words, it's so similar to the sound of S, it's quite difficult to understand the words when you only add S to the end. So something extra is needed so those words are intelligible. So what we do is we add an ES to the end of the word, and that gives each base word an extra syllable. It adds a syllable to the word. So now we have foxes, pushes. And those are much easier to say and much easier to understand, right? So learners might still get a little confused and wonder, well, then how do I know when to use suffix S or suffix ES? And that's another great question. Typically, if a word ends in a sound that's similar to S, it's going to have suffix ES added. This includes words that end in S, SH, X, CH, and Z. Now, if you listen to the words here, you will hear that the suffix ES adds that extra syllable to each word, and it makes them easier to say and easier to understand. So we have glasses, pushes, foxes, riches, watches, and buzzes. One thing you can do to help your learners remember this rule is to maybe put something up on your wall that visually shows them these letters. You can also create a little rhythmic chant out of the letters. I created something, it's a little bit of a tongue twister, but you could create your own. And the one that I created says SSHX, CHNZ, SSHX, CHNZ. So it's something like that. Now, let's just try 3 words together to see if we can figure out what we need to add, an S or an ES to the end of these words. First, we want to read the base word by itself. And we know we see here we have brush. So then we want to ask ourselves, does it end with one of the letters or combinations of letters that requires that ES on the end? And if you have a chant, or if you have something displayed, they can refer to that. They can chant it. SSHX, CHNZ, SHX, CHNZ. Like I said, it's a little bit of a tongue twister. But once they've got it, it's helpful. And we can see that brush does end with that SH on the end. So we're going to add the ES. I would not stop here. I would say, now read the entire word. We want to make sure it sounds right. Brushes. And yes, it sounds right. So we know we've got the right suffix added to the end. Let's try another word. We have world. So once we've read the word, we want to ask ourselves, does it end with one of those letters or combinations of letters that requires us to add the ES? And we can say our tongue twister chant again, SSHX, CHNZ, And as we look at the word world, we see we just have a D at the end. It doesn't have S, SHX, CH, or Z added. So then we're just going to add the S. And once again, we're going to say, don't just stop there. Read the word to see if it sounds right. Worlds. Okay, last word. Dress. We read the word. Now we want to say, does it end with one of those letters or combinations of letters that we have to add the ES to the end of it? So we'll say our chant again, one more time to remember. S, SHX, CH, and Z. And as we look, we see it does end in an S. Actually, it ends in two S's. It's a double consonant at the end. So we need to add the ES. Now we're going to read that entire word to see if it sounds right. We're listening for that extra syllable, dresses. All right. When we are adding suffix S or ES, here are some things to remember. If a word ends in S, SHX, CH, or Z, you need to add suffix ES to the word. If it ends in any other letter combination, you're just going to add suffix S. Another thing, suffix ES adds an extra syllable to the base word. So if your base word is bus, when you add the ES to the end because it ends in the S, you're going to have buses. It's going to add that extra syllable. I do have some free printables on my blog that you are welcome to use to help your learners practice adding these suffixes to the end of words, as well as this Inflected Endings Interactive Bundle Pack. It's got a lot of things to practice with S and ES in it. The links to all these resources can be found in the description below here. Thanks for joining me at This Reading Mama, where you can find hands-on learning for home or for school.